Boundaries do not push people away. They can actually be a way of healing relationships and making that relationship stronger. They can create trust or even restore trust. When you are clearly communicating what you're comfortable with, others know what to expect, and that consistency can build respect. Do you want to achieve your goals, but anxiety is tripping you up? Like to keep those fun weekend plans, but depression has you counseling again? Hey, I'm Lori, dog mom, lover of nature, and hygge enthusiast. Positive psychology skills help me overcome chronic severe PTSD. If you're ready to learn how to overcome your anxiety and depression and rediscover happiness and purpose in life, then get your cozy on and let's get started. Tomorrow is the last day for our Leave a Review contest, and I really need your help in being able to get those reviews in. So I wanted to read one from Holly, who said, "Thank you, Lori, for these practical tips." She had just listened to an episode on seasonal affective disorder. "I'm looking forward to applying these techniques in my life, especially as the days get shorter." Thank you very much, Holly, for that review. I really appreciate it. Your reviews and ratings are the number one way to help promote this show. And we have through tomorrow for the Leave a Review contest, and you could win a $25 Amazon gift card. Just send a picture of your review in to Lori at practicalsolutionsforptsd.com, and you can be entered to win. Have you ever caught yourself saying yes when every part of your being wanted to say no? Or do you feel like it's your personal responsibility to insert yourself in other people's situations and solve all their problems? If that's you, you are in the right place. Because today we're going to talk about the psychological perspective of setting boundaries and why they are essential for emotional balance, self-control, and managing your stress. When I first learned this and finally started implementing this in my life, I was shocked at the difference it made, not only in myself, because it decreased my stress, but mental and emotional stress. I started feeling better physically, I started engaging in my life, but it also had a positive impact on my relationships and my productivity at work. Surprise, surprise, my counselor knew what he was talking about. Who'd have thunk it, right? So today we're going to unpack some common myths about setting boundaries. We're going to look at a real life example, talk about simple practical ways to set limits that protect your mental health and your relationships. And let me emphasize again, boundaries are there to help you provide emotional balance, self-control, and manage stress. That's what they're about. So let's start with this truth. Boundaries are not about control. They are about care. Most of us were never taught what healthy boundaries look like. How many of y'all grew up in an environment where you were told if so-and-so asks you to do something, you always say yes? Or when you are at a job and they say anytime you're given an opportunity, you always say yes. Now, there may be some reasons behind that, but just a blanket statement of saying yes to everything is not a good thing. This is not good, people. When we constantly say yes to others at the expense of ourselves and our own needs, our own values, we end up feeling resentful, anxious, and burnt out. Our brains can interpret this ongoing stress as a threat, and over time, that can show up as exhaustion, irritability, and even physical symptoms. Boundaries, good boundaries, give your nervous system room to breathe. This is where you're creating a routine that your body, your mind, your spirit feels comfortable with. You're telling your body and your mind, I'm safe, I have at least a measure of control, and I can rest in this space because it's safe. And this gives your body a chance to recharge and to show up at your best when you're needed. So let's first tackle some myths about boundaries. And trust me, there's a lot of them. We're just going to hit on 3. The first one is boundaries push people away. This is how I felt for the longest time. If I set this boundary, I'm going to hurt this relationship. I need to be there. I need to show up. They need me. They need me here. I'm telling you folks, I'm a classic middle child. For years, I felt like it was my responsibility to bring peace and healing to all the relationships around me. Boundaries do not push people away. Healthy boundaries actually will make your relationship stronger. And this is one of the surprises I found. One, I set boundaries in my family and actually had my younger brother tell me when I explained to him a boundary I had set. He actually thanked me right there. He's like, Lori, thank you. I appreciate that. And I realized in talking to him that my lack of boundaries had actually eroded trust in our relationship. And by setting that boundary, he could once again trust me. Can you imagine that? Now, he understood that what I had been doing, I was doing in good faith. I was doing it from a pure heart, pure motive, but it was damaging him. And he couldn't trust me to not do that. So when I drew a clear boundary and said, I'm not going to do this anymore, and talked to him about it, he could trust me again. It also impacted my relationships at work, because that resentment had begun to build. I'd become frustrated with people, and that frustration was beginning to tell on the relationships. And so when I drew clear boundaries, it relieved my own stress, and I was able to show up in a better state. And I actually was able to rebuild some relationships at work and left with great respect for them. So boundaries do not push people away. They actually can make your relationship stronger. They create trust. When you clearly communicate what you're comfortable with, others know what to expect from you. And that consistency builds respect. After I drew those boundaries, it took a little bit because I had to, show that I meant it. I had person after person on my team would come to me and say, Lori, I so respect the boundaries that you've laid, and I wish I were better at it. Every single person on my team at some point told me that. It builds respect. Myth number 2, setting boundaries means I'm selfish. This is so not true, and it is one I absolutely struggled with, especially when it came to, the work I was doing. I felt like I was letting my team down if I didn't try to do everything. My relationships, if I wasn't stepping in trying to bring healing, I thought I was being selfish. And yes, it was costing me my peace of mind, but it was a selfless act. That is so not true. Boundaries are there to protect your resources, whether that be time, emotional energy, spiritual energy, whatever that may be. It's there to protect your resources. And if you set boundaries and do it well and keep them, you can show up when you're needed as a whole person with something to actually contribute, and not be so worn out and exhausted and bone dry that you have nothing to give when you're actually needed and when it is your turn to show up. So boundaries are not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. It is good stewardship. You have to be able to draw those boundaries so that you can show up when it's your turn to do so, and do so with a whole heart, a whole person, and not being completely depleted. Myth number 3, people will be angry or leave me if I say no. And for all you people pleasers out there, I am included. This is absolutely a myth. You do not have to please everybody. So if some people are angry and walk away, it's okay. But honestly, the people that really care about you are going to be glad you're setting boundaries. They may give a little bit of pushback as they're learning and figuring it out. But once they understand what's going on, they're going to help you and actually respect you and appreciate you for the boundaries that you're putting in place. They'll adjust. Your relationship will adapt, and you'll find out on the other side that it's actually better. And if someone does walk away, that's really a reflection on the quality and value of your relationship. It is not a reflection of your personal worth. It is not your job to please everybody. You have gifts that God has given you, and whatever skills you have, the resources you've been given, your time, your energy, etc., that boundaries will help you safeguard and utilize wisely instead of just foolishly scattering them everywhere. So that's our 3 myths. Now let's walk through a real life example. And I've actually seen this happen. It is not fairy tale one. So imagine you have a coworker who is constantly showing up at your desk 5 minutes before you leave and saying, oh, I need your help doing blah, blah, blah. or this is an urgent task and I need it done now. Now that's going to happen occasionally. Life happens, but this is something they're doing consistently. You don't want to seem unhelpful or like you're not a team player, so you end up saying yes, you stay late, you miss your dinner, you get home completely exhausted, you're feeling totally drained. You no longer have that precious resource of energy and time to invest in your actual job because you spent it rescuing this person. Guess what's going to happen for you? One, you're going to start getting resentful because this person is constantly hounding you. You're going to start avoiding that person. You're not going to enjoy interacting with them. Your stress will start skyrocketing. Your motivation to actually help them and be part of the team is going to start dropping. Who wants to do that all the time? It's also hurting, not only is all that hurting the relationship, it's hurting the other person because they're not learning how to manage their time well, how to manage their task well. They're not showing up for their own job. It's hurting their growth and development. So how about if you say something like this? I really would love to help you. I'd like to be a team player and step in and help you out. But I'm at my limit today. I've done all I can do right now. I'm out of time and I need to head home. If you need support with your task, I'd be happy to help you, but let's plan ahead next time. And that way I can make sure I'm working you in and doing so effectively. That's a healthy boundary. You're being kind and honest. You've protected your time without guilt. Let me say that again. You've protected your time without guilt. Over time, boundaries like that will train others and yourself to respect your limits. And you do have to train yourself. I had to train myself. But clearly communicating it, you can do it kindly and with respect. But being honest, like, no, I can't help you today. I have to go. So how do you go about doing this? Now, there's multiple things involved, but we're going to talk about some simple steps that you can take, 4 simple steps that you can try in helping you learn how to set boundaries, especially if this is new or a little bit uncomfortable for you. Step number 1, identify what drains you. What is it in your life that drains the energy out of you? Now, my counselor helped me do this. So there was, I was carrying too much responsibility for the pain or division in relationships around me. I was taking too much responsibility on for tasks that were not my job. And there are other things, but that's a couple of illustrations. So notice situations that leave you feeling resentful or tense or exhausted. Those are usually huge cues for you to start setting boundaries. And it could be something that you're doing to yourself and you need to set personal boundaries. It could be something that's happening with your time management or with your relationships or with your job or whatever it may be. But those things that leave you feeling resentful, tense, or exhausted, those are areas, it's a big, huge clue you need to draw boundaries. Step number 2, decide what's okay and what's not. So this is something you need to sit down with and reflect on this. And for those of you that are followers of Christ, this would be an excellent time to sit down and pray with a piece of paper and a pen and ask the Lord to show you where you need to draw your boundaries. I did this, and I'm still doing this because this isn't a static thing. It's something you're consistently doing. So decide what's okay and what's not okay for you and start drawing boundaries around that. Be clear on your limits. Is it okay that you stay every single night late after work doing somebody else's job? No, that's not okay. Is it okay once a week? Maybe, or maybe once a month, but not consistently. So get clear on your limits, and it helps to phrase it like something like, I'm comfortable with fill in the blank, but not with fill in the blank. So going back to our example, I'm comfortable with staying late after work 1 night a week, but not every single night. I'm comfortable helping someone out with their projects as long as it is not infringing on my own, but I'm not comfortable sacrificing the time that I have to do my job to do their job. Just clarify some things like that, and it will help you. Communicate clearly and calmly your boundary. This is step number 3. Now, I talked about this when the first time I did a podcast on boundaries. I talked about my failure to communicate clearly on one of my boundaries, and that was that I took too much personal ownership of the jobs that I did when they actually belonged to the Army. And so I would say out loud to myself, this is not your job. This is not your project. This belongs to the Army. This is their job, not my job. This is their mission, not my mission. This is their project, not my project. I would say this stuff out loud, but I had not communicated that to my coworkers. And they at first thought I was, just trying to obfuscate and get out of my job, which I wasn't, but I had to communicate that clearly, which I did. So you don't owe anyone over explanation. You do need to communicate effectively and make sure it's clear, but you don't have to go into every single gory detail. So when it's simple boundaries, a short, polite statement is enough. Something like, I'm not available tonight, but I'd be happy to help you tomorrow. We can sit down tomorrow and see where I can fit you in my calendar. I can't take that on right now. My plate is full. I need some time to think before I answer. So this is a really good one if someone's giving you some pressure and you're not really sure if you can take this on. Like there's maybe some legitimate reasons, but you're not really sure you can handle it, or if it's something you're willing to accept. Don't say no if you're not really sure. So to say, hey, look, I need some time to think about it before I answer. I'll get back to you in 48 hours or however long that you need to do that. So some simple, short, clear communication where you're communicating those boundaries, and refusing to give a yes when you're not really ready for it. That is actually a boundary that you would be keeping. Step number 4, and this is super, super, super important. Follow through. Boundaries mean absolutely nothing if they are not enforced. You can tell somebody, I will help you if you come to me and we can work it into my schedule, but I cannot stay late after work more than once a week. But if you do it anyway, and they come up to you 5 minutes before you leave and say, hey, I need help with this task. You've already been late once, but you do it again. Guess what? They're not going to respect it, and you're not going to respect it yourself. So it's important that you're setting boundaries you really believe in, and this is truly what you value. So it's easier to enforce that and be consistent. But you need to be consistent about it. That is critically important. You can expect a little bit of pushback at first because people are learning, and that's understandable. But stay consistent. And over time, others will adjust, they'll adapt, and you'll feel more peace and control over situations in your life. So from a psychological standpoint, boundaries are actually a form of self-regulation. As I mentioned earlier, this is where you are guarding and protecting resources that you've been given, whether that's your time, your energy, whatever it may be. This is where you are regulating yourself to make sure you're showing up at the places that you really need to and meeting those goals that are super important to you, fulfilling the values that you hold dear. Now, I heard something on the internet the other day. It was a clip from Charlie Kirk. I've even seen a lot of them on Facebook lately, and there was one that came up, and he said, there's a myth today that we can have everything, and that is not true. You need to figure out what you value the most and build your boundaries around that. And they were talking about time management, and he said you need to build your time management around what you value most, because you cannot have everything. You have to figure out what is most important to you and prioritize that. And so this is where building boundaries is part of self-regulation. It is important for you to decide what is most valuable to you, and that's where you're going to show up. This gives your brain predictability and helps your nervous system shift from fight or flight to rest and restore, because you start training your body and your nervous system that when it reaches 6 o'clock, I don't answer any more work emails. We're done, and your body can start releasing. But if it's always on hyper alert because we're waiting for that ping to come in, then you can stay in that anxiety area or that fight or flight area, and you're never letting yourself go and just resting in the moment. So each time you honor your limits, you're teaching your body that it's safe to slow down. That lowers your cortisol levels, reduces your tension, and even improves your sleep and focus, because you're beginning to train your body when it's time to let go and to release, and it can rest. So yes, boundaries aren't just emotional protections, although that is absolutely true. They are physical protection as well, and they are a good part of good stewardship. If you've been living without clear boundaries, this process can feel a little uncomfortable at first, and trust me, it did for me as well. Almost like guilt or fear of disappointing others. But with practice, that discomfort fades, especially when you start seeing the results. Then you become a big believer. And what takes the place of that anxiety and discomfort is peace. I cannot tell you how much I believe in that statement that I just said. It's uncomfortable at first, but as you get used to it, with practice, the discomfort fades, and what takes its place is peace. That is absolutely true. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about showing up in your relationships from a place of health and honesty. And you deserve to be safe, respected, and in control of your time and energy. This is something you are responsible for that. This is one of your clear responsibilities. And it's very important that you can draw boundaries so that you can protect your resources, protect your mental and emotional well-being, as well as your physical well-being. So until we come back next time, which we're going to talk about more about this on Thursday, but protect your peace is not selfish, it is sacred. Draw boundaries, and you will see differences and changes in your life. But start small. Start with a small one. Don't overdo and overextend. Start with a small boundary today, and you'll start seeing a difference. Trust me, I promise you will start seeing it. And we'll see you next time. Don't forget to submit a picture of your rating and review to Lori at practicalsolutionsforptsd.com to be entered to win a $25 Amazon gift card. You have through the 22nd of October. Hey, my friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you please take 30 seconds and share it with someone you know who may be struggling with depression and anxiety? Also, would you please leave a quick review for the show? Knowing how this podcast is helping you fills my heart with so much joy, and it motivates me for future episodes. For now, it's time for Sam and I to head outside to enjoy some sunshine and fresh air. We'll see you back here on Tuesdays and Thursdays for more great episodes.